Namaskar all of you. I hope you are able to hear me. So, let us start today's discussion. So, our today's syllabus basically included important uprisings and current affairs. Okay, so first question that is related to Sannyasi revolt. Write a short note on Sannyasi revolt. Okay, so you know that it's a very important revolt from the point of view that it was one of the earliest okay revolts against the British by the sannyasis, okay, by the sadhus and all. So and also it has been properly reflected in the literature arena also, like many important books have been written on this, most famous being Anand Math, okay, from which we have taken our national song, Vande Mataram, right? So, three main things you have to write here: that what was the nature of this revolt, and who are the main participants, okay, and finally what happened, right? These are the points we have to write. So, a group of sannyasis in Eastern India to fight the British yoke, they started it. They raided company factories and treasuries and fought the company's forces. Sometimes also referred to as Fakir rebellion. Okay, because you know these sannyasis, okay, basically fakirs. Okay, so Majnun Shah or Manju Shah, Chirag Ali, Musa Shah, Bhavani Pathak, and Devi Chaudhran were important leaders. Okay, so this one is important. Devi Chaudhrani's participation recognizes the woman's role in early resistance against British. So, like we had a question in 1857 revolt, okay, about the participation of women. Okay, so this is one name we can add, but that question was specific to 1857 only. Okay, Anand Math, a semi-historical novel by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, is based on Sannyasi revolt, and he also wrote another novel, okay, based on the chief protagonist of the Sannyasi rebellion, that is Devi Chaudhrani. Okay, so this is like 150 words. Okay, 6 minutes, within 6 minutes we have to write. So that would be around 5 to 6 points. Okay, so this is, we can finish it within 6 minutes. When you're practicing from the model answer also, remember that you write within the time limit. एमती होगा कथा नो कि model answer तो अच्छी तो more time नहीं की लेखुची उसे. Okay, that can be, it's okay if you are attempting for the first time, or let's say for the first week or the first month, but after that you stick to the time limit. What you can instead what you can do is go through the model answer. Once you understand the concept, if you want to add something to the answer, value addition and all that you do. Once you are ready, okay, once you are fully confident that yes, I can write the answer, then write the answer without, okay, referring to the material or books or whatever. Okay, से जो 100 मिनट अपन लिखिबे से तो जहां आपण बुझिचंती सेटा लिखिबे ताले आपण को राइटिंग स्किल्स टा आउरी बेटर हो, right? Anything you would like to add here apart from these 6 points? So you know, Saturday we will be having, that is tomorrow, we'll be having the test, okay, like whatever we have studied. So live writing you will be doing, okay, or we will start with 1 hour test, and after that we will slowly increase it to 2 hours and 3 hours. Okay, so anyway, that I'll be giving you in the group the details of what questions will be there and all. Okay, so this is the first question. Now let's come to the second question. This is also very important, already has been asked, okay, in UPSC, that is the Polygar uprising, right? Write a short note on the Polygar uprising. So the polygars of South India gave stiff resistance to British between 1795 and 1805. Okay, so that is a UPSC question we will see later on. Okay, that is before 100 years of 1857, what were the major resistances? Okay, so there you will mention this also. Okay, so the main centers were Tinnevelli, Ramanathapuram, Shivaganga, Shivagiri, Madurai, and North Arcot. Okay, but what was the reason? What was the main problem? Okay, problem started in 1781 when the Nawab of Arcot gave the management and control of Tinnevelli and Carnatic provinces to East India Company. The first revolt of the Polygars against company was basically over taxation, but had a larger political dimension in that the English considered and treated the Polygars as enemy. So the main protagonist, okay, Kattaboban Nayakan, okay, the Polygar of Panjalan Kurichi led the insurrection between 1795 and 1799. The company forces were defeated by Veerapandiya Kattaboman. A price was put on the latter's head. This led to greater rebellion by the Polygars. In the second phase, started in February 1801, the fugitives led by Omathurai, that is the brother of Kattaboman, who fled to Shivaganga in Ramnath, joined the rebellion of the Marudus by Marathu Pandian, which was suppressed in October 1801. So in short, what we can see is, okay, they also formed some alliances with other, okay, people who were fighting against the British, right? Between 1803 and 1805, the Polygars of North Arcot rose in rebellion when they were deprived of their right to collect the Kawal fees. By February 1805, the rebels were suppressed. Okay, so that is the importance of the Polygar revolt. Okay, mainly earlier they had some rights of collection, okay, related to agricultural produce, land and all, which was taken away by the British. So that was the main reason, okay, for the revolt. The third, very important from Odisha point of view also, because now we have to study Odisha history in more detail. There is one complete section on Odia nationalism as well. Okay, so Paika rebellion will be very important. Okay, so the Paikas of Odisha were traditional landed militia, okay, and enjoyed rent-free land tenures for their military service and policing functions on a hereditary basis. Okay, the English company's conquest of Odisha in 1803 and the dethronement of Raja of Khorda. So from there the problem started. Bakshi Jagabandhu Vidyadhar had been military chief of forces of Raja of Khorda. In 1814, Jagabandhu's ancestral estate of Class-Aarohan was taken over by the company, reducing him to penury. The spark was lighted by the arrival of body of corns from Kumsar into Khorda territory in March 1817, with active support of Mukunda Deva, the last king of Khorda, and other zamindars of the region. Bakshi Jagabandhu Vidyadhar led a sundry army of Paikas, forcing the East India Company forces to retreat for a time. The rebellion came to be known as Paika Vidroh. The Paika rebellion succeeded in getting large remission of errors, reduction in assessment, suspension of sale of estate of defaulters at discretion, a new settlement of fixed tenures, and other adjuncts of liberal governance. So, all rent free, okay, jaga tanku milthila, kichi revenue tanku setru, okay, rent kichi dopai podnatla for the services they gave to the king. Okay, but that was changed by the British, and that was the main reason. Okay, after the rebellion, these were the major concessions given by the British. Okay. Any doubts still here? Anything you want to ask? Then we can ask. Else we'll go to number 4. Okay. So next is discuss the reasons for tribal revolts. So there were various reasons why the tribals revolted, because these tribal revolts were the most, you can say, violent, okay, revolts against the British. The tribal movement and the British rule were the most frequent, militant, and violent of all movements. So different causes for mainland and northeastern tribal revolt. So mainly, if you see the tribal revolts, one you will see in the mainland, okay, mainland India, and northeastern tribal revolts. Reasons were different. The mainland tribal rebellions were sparked off by tribal land or forest. Okay, their rights being taken away by the British. That was the main reason. Tribal land or forest. The land settlement of British affected the joint ownership tradition. As agriculture was extended in settled form by company government, the tribals lost their land. Shifting cultivation in forest was curbed, and this added to tribals' problem. So ସେମାନେ ଯୋଉ ଜିନିଷଟା ଆଗରୁ କରୁଥିଲେ, okay, shifting cultivation କରିକା, the government slowly started to restrict it. Okay, so and agriculture was extended in a settled form. Okay, so the tribals slowly lost their land. Exploitation by police, traders, and moneylenders. Some general laws were also abhorred for their intrusive nature, because the tribal they had their own culture, distinct culture. They wanted to preserve it. Some of the laws of the British, okay, uh, they maybe they were for the good, but they were thought to be intrusive in nature, interference with the, okay, indigenous, or you can say with the traditional rituals and all of the tribal. The British entered the northeastern areas much later than non-frontier tribal areas. The frontier tribal revolts under British continued for longer time than the non-frontier tribal movements. Okay. So if you see the general characteristics of tribal revolts, number one, tribal identity or ethnic ties lay behind the solidarity shown by these groups. Okay. So their tribal identity, their culture, okay, they were proud of their culture, and when the British tried to bring any change or tried to curb any ritual which was there in their culture, so there was resentment and reaction. The resentment against imposition of laws by foreign government, that was seen as an effort at destroying the tribal's traditional socio-economic framework. Many uprisings were led by messiah-like figures who encouraged their people to revolt. So let's say, like Bhagwan Birsa Munda, okay, and many other tribal leaders were there who were larger than life images. Okay, the people literally worshipped them, right? So when they, you know, asked, when they said that we are going to, um, you know, uh, attack the British, or we are going to, stop the British from doing all these things, okay, with our culture. So people readily accepted their commands. The tribal uprisings were doomed from the beginning given their outdated arms. So, of course, from the point of view of logistics, they were no match, okay, to the British. Okay, but that was the main reason, their identity and also the atrocities of the British. Okay, and not only the British, also the land, money lenders and landlords. Okay, right? Any any questions regarding this? Any doubts? Any points you need to add, which we can add in the answer? Now come to discuss the weaknesses of popular civilian revolts. So see, many civilian revolts, okay, were there of different, sizes and intensities, but all of them, although we can't say they failed actually, but they could not get the success, okay, that they initially thought of. So what are the problems with the popular civilian revolts? Okay, so when we are talking about popular civilian revolts, we are not considering the sepoy mutinies, okay, or the mutinies by the soldiers. So first, these uprisings drew a large number of participants, localized and occurred at different times in different regions. So it was not a collective effort. It was mainly localized in regional areas due to regional issues. Okay, so that was one reason. They mostly arose out of local grievances. So rather than some planning, some long-term common goal like getting independence or whatever. Okay, here the problem was that they had some short-term goals. Okay, and they had some local issues. Once those issues were resolved, they were fine. So they mostly arose out of local grievances. The leadership was semi-feudal in character. Okay, so these are the features. Semi-feudal in character, backward-looking, traditional in outlook, and their resistance did not offer alternatives to existing social setup. So what would be the solution to the present problems? That they could not put an alternative. For the sake of opposing the British, they were opposing. In many of these revolts seemed similar to one another in wanting to out the alien rule. It was because they were protesting against conditions that were common to them. So common enemy, okay. So that is one of the few commonalities you will find. But there was no common planning, there was no common goal, okay, and at different times and different places, these uprisings, tribal uprisings kept on happening. These rebellions were centuries old in form of ideological or cultural content. So it's not that it started, okay, if you see in medieval India also, okay, indigenous people clashed with invading forces, okay, or forces which tried to capture their land. So it is not that they started this, fight to preserve their land, their culture against the British only. Much before the British also, okay, during the medieval times also, the invading forces also met with similar resistance from the tribals. Okay, and peasant revolts, okay, and the princely state revolt. So in 4 categories you can divide it, and then you have to give the examples. Okay, under the civil revolts, so the common people revolting against the the discrimination by the British to secure the traditional and customary rights. Okay, example, Sannyasi revolt we have already seen, Midnapur and Dalbum during the 1766-67 revolts. The Momarias of Ahom, okay, Assam. This is also very important. Okay, revolt of Raja of Vijayanagaram, 1794. The civil rebellion in Awadh, 1799. The Kukka rebellion, 1840. Surat salt agitation of 1840. These were major civilian revolts with the common cause of, so causes, okay, in each type you have to write, that were illegal tax demands and oppression by police, judiciary and revenue department. Okay. Now coming to the tribal revolts. The tribal movements under British rule were the most frequent, militant and violent of all movements. Some of them were the Chor uprising, this is also important, of Midnapur in Bengal, 1770s. The Coal of Chota Nagpur during 1830s, led by Buddha Bhagat. The Corn uprising of Odisha, 1835 to 1856, led by Chakra Bisoi. The Santhal uprisings led by Sidhu and Kanu just before the revolt of 1857. Okay. Bhil and Ramoshi uprising in Western India. So what were the reasons for the tribals to revolt? Just we have seen now. The resentment of tribals against Britishers was mainly due to imposition of Forest Rights Act, forcefully conversion of tribals by Christian missionaries, operation by moneylenders and zamindars after extension of permanent settlement in tribal areas. So the concept of permanent settlement was imposed in the tribal areas as well. So that altered the land pattern and the land usage which they have been accustomed with, okay, for generations. Okay. Next, coming to the peasant revolts. Third category. So peasant uprisings were protest against evictions, increase in rent of land, moneylenders' greedy ways, and their demand was occupancy right for peasants. Some major and minor revolts, okay, the Pagalpanthis of Bengal is led by Karam Shah Dutin, that is during 1825 to 35. The Farazi movement in eastern Bengal led by Haji Shariatullah and his son Dadu Milan. The Mopla uprising in Malabar. Okay, you have seen the recent movie also regarding that. 1834 to 1854. Paiko revolt of Khordha, which we just discussed. Okay, led by Bakshi Jagabandhu. The common provoking cause of resentment of these peasants were exorbitant demand of land revenue, operation of officials, and frequent occurrence of drought and famine, etc. So during drought and famine also there was no relief from the British. Okay, so they were seeing that how, even if some minor drought is there, okay, how we are going to get the maximum revenue. Then fourth category is the princely state revolts. With the expansion of Britishers in India, some princely states were annexed on excuse of maladministration and use of diplomacy of subsidiary alliance and doctrine of lapse. Okay, Mysore and Jhansi and Awadh. Okay, these also revolted against the British. Okay, thus it can be said that these rebellions, which were localized in nature, lacking of efficient leadership and influenced by backward-looking ideology, were suppressed by British with the use of force, but still they established a culture of resistance among natives and eventually prepared the way for 1857 revolt. Okay, so these are the 6 questions related to major revolts, okay, of your before 1857 and just after that. So next subject is social reforms, okay, which we will see that later. Now coming to current affairs. So this is a big news. Lot of criticism is going on, but we have to discuss this in a very objective and um, in a what you can say, yeah, without emotions, right? So genetically
Sir,
modified food
what
or
is
genetically modified, huh?
sir, what is
Sorry,
backward looking ideology? What is the backward looking ideology
backward
of the revolution
backward looking.
rebellions?
Basically, they were not ready to change their community structure. Okay, for example, giving more opportunities to women. Okay, within their community also, many communities has caste system and all those kind of things. So trying to change that they did not accept. That is backward looking ideology. Okay, that means whatever, in a sense you can say, to retain the orthodoxy. Okay, to retain the orthodox thinking, right? Not to accept change or
And
to
also the class
resist
structure.
change. Huh?
So the class structure
Yes,
as well.
tell me what is it?
Uh,
Yes, the
Women's
class structure,
women's
not only the class
position as well
structure,
as the class structure.
patriarchy. Yes, means whatever has been followed till now, okay, till that time, that should continue. Okay, they were not very open to change. Okay, that was one of the change within them. Okay, change within them. Any other doubts still here? Else we'll go to the current affairs part. So this is a very controversial decision, and it is being criticized by a lot of people, especially the critics and the the people who generally write about food security and all. So genetically modified mustard, government has allowed it. Now we have to dispassionately understand, okay, why the government allowed it. It's not that the government is not interested in the wealth, in the health of the people. Okay, what would be the advantages and what precautions need to be taken? What precautions have been taken by the government? So the recent clearance by the government for the release of GM mustard hybrid DMH11, okay, that's the name of the hybrid, based on recommendation of the GEAC, okay, under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, is a bold decision in best interest of our farmer and nation. How it is in the best interest of our farmers and nation, that we will see. So you know what are GMOs? Okay, so the genetically modified organisms, they are defined as organisms in which the genetic material has been altered in a way that does not occur naturally by mating or by natural recombination. Okay, so this is one change in the genetic material. Transfer of genes, it allows selected individual genes to be transferred from one organism to another, also between non-related species. So GM food products from or using GM organisms are often referred to as GM food. And this GM mustard was introduced, which was later withdrawn. There is a raging debate going on advantages and disadvantages of GMOs. For a long time, further study was requested by farmers, environmentalists on GMO crops. So what is particularly if we stick to mustard, what is the advantage of using this GM mustard? So first is producer and consumer. So GM foods are developed and marketed because there is some perceived advantage either to producer or consumer of these foods. This is meant to translate into a product with lower price, greater benefit in terms of durability or nutritional value or both. Initially, GM seed developers wanted their products to be accepted by producers and have concentrated on innovations that bring direct benefit to the farmers and the food industry generally. But what happens is for the common man also, how that is going to be beneficial, that we'll see. So it improves crop protection. So one of the main objectives of developing plants based on GM organism is to improve crop protection. Okay, that means the common pests and other attacks, okay, they can fend it off. They will have that kind of resistance. So insect resistance, some GMO foods have been modified to make them more resistant to insect and other pests. This means the amount of pesticide chemicals used on plants are reduced, so their exposure to dangerous pesticide is also reduced. So insect resistance. Next, to develop stronger crops. Okay, so stronger crop means, see now what is happening, if there is some climate change, even little rain and all, we are losing our crops. Okay, so stronger crops are going to help us, right, withstand weather extremes and fluctuations. Okay, so even if there is some problem with the weather, still the quality and the yield will be proper, good quality and sufficient yield. Okay, even under poor or severe weather conditions. So to develop stronger crops. Then what are the other advantages? It provides environment protection. Okay, so it requires less time, tools and chemicals, and may have helped in reducing greenhouse emissions, soil erosion and environmental pollution. Next, more nutritious food. According to UN FAO, some GM foods have been engineered to become more nutritious in terms of vitamin or mineral content. And last advantage is more economic benefits. So larger production leading to increased farm income, reduces poverty. So ଯେମିତି ଆମେ କହୁଛୁ ନା doubling farmers income by this year or that year, ତ ସେମିତି okay ତ କେମିତି କରିହବ ସେଟା, how are you going to double the farmers income? Okay, so through the application of GMOs, that is one way. Reduce poverty, low food prices for the end consumer, that is going to be beneficial. तो एपटे न्यूट्रिशियस फूड भी ताको मिलला, एनवायरनमेंट भी प्रोटेक्ट होला, ओके, प्लस जो फूड ता किनिबो तार कॉस्ट भी ताको कम मिलला, and thus reduce hunger and malnutrition. Besides, new products are also included, diversifying food varieties. But now, coming to the naysayers, what are the problems? Okay, problems कौन GMO से तो गोटे तो अलग ही भाई मनीष ऊपर केमती इफेक्ट होबो ता ऊपर सेमिति बहुत बेसी स्टडीज है right, contamination of genes. So GMOs contaminate forever. GMOs cross pollinate and their seeds can travel far and wide. So again there will be some unnecessary unwanted changes in the ecosystem, irreversible changes in gene pool. It is impossible to fully clean up our contaminated gene pool. More herbicides in our food. So genetic engineering allows plants to survive high doses of weed killers, resulting in higher herbicide residues in our food. Okay, the segura lekhilu ki stronger crop. Okay, so crop to tara strong है ना, सी तरह weather को भी survive करेगा, एगुड़ा को भी survive करेगा. Okay, but the chemicals and the herbicides and pesticides and all, but ultimately that is going to harm the human beings. हमें सेगुड़ा ही खाएगा. Super weeds and super bugs. So GMO crops are creating super weeds and super bugs which can be killed with more toxic poisons. मैंने कहा
सर सर एठी बायो मैग्निफिकेशन सेटा ऐड कर परिए कि
basically you can add, just like we are creating stronger crops, so तांकर भी resistance बढ़ुची. ठीक अछि तो जो bugs कर resistance बढ़ुची, तेणु आगुरु जोटा अल्प आपण इंसेक्टिसाइड रे ताको मारि पाउथिले, एबे सेमाने भी से हिसाब रे ओके यू रिक्वायर मोर पॉइजन और more force, okay, more dangerous or more poisonous, more concentrated weeds, okay, weed killers, etc., chemicals to
Yes, sir.
eliminate weeds and bugs. So ultimately say tamane kon ame je to khaibu, we will also okay tar traces ja rahila siguda our system ko asibo. So this is another problem. Now coming to particularly to mustard, why there was necessity to grant approval for GM mustard. जो first time कहलु, it is good for the nation, it is good for the farmer, it is good for the consumer. केमिति काहेकि to meet our current challenges. तो एबे mustard ର requirement कोन आउ current situation हमें कोन हमर केति कि हमें production करछु आउ केति कि बाहरु आणुछु. Over exploitation of natural resource, declining factor productivity, urgency to achieve sustainable development goals, especially ending poverty and hunger, and addressing timely the adverse effects of climate change. Okay, the best option is scientific innovation and their scaling. Adoption of GM food is in our broader national interest. How? Genetically modified maize, soybean, cotton, tomato, and canola are grown across the world, and the area currently under GM crops is about 200 million hectare. Okay, এটা গোটে আপন data গোটে আপন mind রে রাখবে 200 million.
It will reduce
Okay.
the imports.
Okay, हाँ सेटा एसे रे यूज करी होबो और एथरे भी ताको यूज करि परिबो. Okay, तापरे आउ को जगह रे एगुडा जेनेटिकली मॉडिफाइड फूड हमें यूज करछु. यूएस, ब्राजील, अर्जेंटीना, कनाडा, ऑस्ट्रेलिया, फिलीपाइंस, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and China. Almost all countries use it. Okay, to meet the existing deficit in edible oils. Currently, our deficit, India is currently importing around 13 million tons at a cost of 1.17 lakh crore to the exchequer. Interestingly, of this, 2 to 2.5 okay million tons soybean oil and 1 to 1.5 okay million ton canola oil is already genetically modified. Hence, we are consuming GM oil already, besides the 1.5 okay million tons of GM cotton produced domestically. So, okay, already in some areas we are already using GM food. Okay, so that already okay soybean oil or canola oil already we are using GM oil. Then the associated health benefits of this GM mustard, it is scientifically proven that consumption of refined oil does not allow any protein to enter the human system. Thus, consumption of GM oil is completely safe from health point of view. It has till now we have seen the advantages for the consumer. Now let us come to advantage for the farmers, for the producers. A major concern of a farmer is that yields of mustard are low and have stagnated for a long time of around 1,260 kilogram per hectare, much lower than global average of 2,000 kilogram per hectare. Yields of canola in Canada, China, and Australia are almost 3 times higher than in India since they use GM hybrid technology. Mustard is very important oilseed crop grown in 6 to 7 million hectares, mostly in Rajasthan, Punjab, Haryana, and Madhya Pradesh. Thus, government's decision to allow production of GM mustard hybrids will go a long way in increasing our yields while reducing use of pesticides. Okay. So, advantage कौन से कहला? तापर precaution कौन? Providing enabling environment. The Department of Agriculture and ICAR, okay, that is Indian Council of Agriculture Research, need to move forward, fast forward, and provide an enabling environment to test the available seed of hybrid DMH11 in the current Rabi season. Second, encourage public-private partnership. So this needs to happen on several farmers' field in the mustard belt. It must also encourage public-private partnership to produce quality seeds to cover more area next year. So government and private sector also has to be involved. Next, encouraging further innovation. So jaha ek barso pakela pare jaha result asibo au kona changes kariyar achi, more innovation, that is also okay required. Also, scientists at ICR Institute must be encouraged to develop new mustard hybrids on a GM mustard hybrid mission mode. Allowing the production of GM soybean and GM maize going forward will also be a positive step, increasing both the productivity and profitability of these crops and doubling farmers' income. So, doubling farmers' income ta a pet project or very important project for the government, right? So the decision to remove the unscientific ban on GM crop reflects the determination and government to move towards Atmanirbhar Bharat. It also meets the aspiration of a scientific community and farmers can derive the benefit of innovative technology. Okay. So it is fine. Kichi problem nahi ame tako accept kari pariba, but with safeguards. Okay, joda ame dekh. Right? Any doubts or anything you want to add, then you can tell me. Else we'll go to the last 3 questions. Okay. So this is very important. The IT Intermediary Guidelines and Digital Media Ethics Code. Okay. Rule 2021. October 28 May. Okay. Information Technology Ministry data. Ensure college data. It should be, brought into effect. Advantages provision that we will see. So what is the background of it? Intermediaries are entities that store or transmit data on behalf of other person and include telecom and internet service providers, online marketplaces, search engines, and social media sites. Jaha bhi apna Facebook, Twitter, data handle portion. The IT Act 2000 was amended in 2008 to provide an exemption to intermediaries from liability for any third party information. ये गोटे प्रॉब्लम थिला कोन ना धरंतु मतलब एग्जांपल नबा एबे फेसबुक कहबो कि मो प्लेटफॉर्म रे जदी की कोन बाहर आनी की कोन पोस्ट कर दउची आडू सडू जिंसो ता पई गोटे रॉयट हे गला कि काउ के मार देला कोला मु ता पई रेस्पोंसिबल नु सो it provided exemption to intermediaries from liability for third party information. Okay, it is like अपन धरंतु गोटे पब्लिशर कहबो ऑथर भूल लिख दी बही रे मु तो छापिया कथा छापी देली ठीक अछि ता पई लोगों को असुविधा हो ओके पिला माने भूल भाव जिंस पढिबे मोर लायबिलिटी किछि नै छै ठीक अछि लेखा भी एते बही रे ओके एरर जदी थिबो सेटा आपण देखि बार करे अछि राइट सो समथिंग लाइक दैट following this the IT intermediary guidelines rule 2011 were framed under the IT Act to specify the due diligence requirement for intermediaries to claim such exemption. Later on, IT Intermediary Guidelines and Digital Media Ethics Rules 2021 and notified on February 2021 to replace the 2011 rules. Okay, phuni authare dekho changes karaichibe. The rules were notified by Ministry of Electronics and IT in February 2021. The rule provides that due diligence to be followed by an intermediary, including social media intermediary, while discharging its duties, grievance redressal mechanism, and digital media code of ethics. So, ଏବେ ଦେଖିବେ ବର୍ଷ ଆଗରୁ ତାଙ୍କର ବି ଗୋଟେ ଫେସବୁକ୍ ରେ ଆପଣ ଦେଖିବେ ତାଙ୍କର ଗୋଟେ ବନେଇଥିଲେ ମାନେ you can appeal against any decision of Facebook, okay, to independent ତାଙ୍କର ଗୋଟେ କମିଟି ଅଛି ଯୋଉ ବାହାର ଲୋକ ଅଛନ୍ତି ସେଠି ଆପଣ appeal କରିପାରିବେ. Suppose ଆପଣଙ୍କର account ବନ୍ଦ କରିଦେଇଛନ୍ତି କି post କୁ restrict କରିଦେଇଛନ୍ତି, okay. Due diligence to be followed by intermediary କଣ ତାକୁ follow କରିବାର ଅଛି. Prominently
सर
published
एग्जांपल होची ट्विटर रे कंगना राणावत रा माने अकाउंट को ब्लॉक कर देथिले
कंगना
सस्पेंड कर देथिले
ट्रम्प को बैन कर देथिले, ओके, जे तांकर जो कैपिटल
ये
हिल
सर रिसेंटली एलोन मस्क का से की सेटा चेंज कला
हाँ जेतेबेले हैला से ता कैपिटल हिल प्रोटेस्ट हैला तो सेतेबेले से प्रेसिडेंट रो भी बंद कर देले, राइट. सो इट्स लाइक they sometimes they act as super bullies. तबरे कौन ना कि हाँ सेम गाइडलाइन था अंदर समझ तो पे बुझियो अंदर स्ट्रिक्ट गाइडलाइन समझ तो पे सेम. That is not the case. से आइडियोलॉजी देखी कि यू नो स्पेशली हमें ट्विटर कथा कहे फेसबुक भी किसी अलगा नुह तो इट से आइडियोलॉजी देखी कि समय से कामड़ा करन. Okay, for example, it is well documented that जो जदि आपनकर left ideology अच्छी, they are more tolerant. Okay, if you write nonsense also, they will tolerate it to some extent. Okay, if you are from the right ideology, ठीक अछि तो ताहले आपण जदि किछि भी लेखिले सिमदी से माने immediately action नियन. Another thing is that initial like 2-3 years आगुर भी जदि देखिबे ट्विटर हो कि फेसबुक हो बहुत गुडे कंट्रीज रे से माने लोकल लॉ को सबमिट करंती. So data protection and all these जोटा कि आपण आउ भी पढिबे ताको data protection laws इंडिया रे तो हमर धरन तो इंडियन लोक अछंती, ओके, आम डेटाटा आमे जा यूज करछु आमे पेमेंट करछु जा भी that data should be stored in local servers, ओके, जोटा कि से माने करनांती से माने सेटा यूएस रे रखुचंती चाइना रे रखुचंती आ गुड रखुचंती. एबे रिसेंटली दी दिन आगु टिकटॉक भी से जिनसटा कहला तार जो यूजर्स अछंती ताको भितर इट वाज अ कंसर्न कि आपण डाटाटा को देश रे रखुचंती. सो दे क्लैरिफाइड दैट ना एमती नाही कि आपण देश रे रहउची रहिले भी 7-8टा देश रो हमर एम्प्लॉइज माने ताको एक्सेस करि पारे. ओके, सो number 1, due diligence to be followed by intermediary. So prominently published on its website the rules and regulations, privacy policy and user agreement for access or usage of its computer resources by any person. These rules have modified the categories of content that users are not allowed to upload or share. Periodically,
अच्छा
periodically
तो
at
कितना
least
घंटे बदल नहीं कितना अच्छा
so it informs its user of its rules and regulation, privacy policy or user agreement, or any change in rules and regulations, privacy policy or user agreement. Okay, so at least once a year जहाँ जो changes updations से corrections सेटा बताया रच. Next वाला grievance redressal mechanism of intermediary. इटा आउट problem है ला कि account block कर दो चुने ban कर दो चुने बहुत जड़ा कौन से माने तंकरो business purpose में भी तक use कर चुने तंग बहुत असुविधा होता है. The intermediary must ensure to prominently publish on its website or mobile-based application the name of the grievance officer and his contact details. Eight a major issue thila जोड़ा किसे मानू नोट थे. Okay, Facebook मानू थीला, Twitter मानू थीला, and finally they fell in line. It must provide a mechanism by which a Twitter user or victim may make complaint against violation of the provisions of this rule or any other matters pertaining to computer resources made available by it. Okay, तेणु जो गोटे साइबर क्राइम है कौन जो कि से डाटा भी इन्वॉल्व अच्छी. ओके, फेसबुक रे गोटे फ्रॉड है. सो जिते कंप्लेनेंट साइबर पुलिस रे जाई कंप्लेन करूची, ओके, then Facebook has to give all the information regarding that. Grievance officer shall acknowledge the complaint within 24 hours and resolve it within 15 days of its receipt. Okay, additional due diligence for significant social media intermediary. Kiara definition कौन? Okay. Intermediaries with registered users above a notified threshold will be classified as significant social media intermediaries. Okay, SSMIs. So they shall appoint a chief compliance officer who shall be responsible for ensuring compliance with the act. तो बहुत टाइम कौन होची ना गवर्नमेंट आगुरु कौन होतला गवर्नमेंट तंको ए डेटा हमकु दियो एटा किए लिखिची कौन करची ओ आईपी रु कौन से सेगुडा से मान दो नथे राइट बट एई सब लॉज हला दे हैव टू सबमिट टू द लॉ ऑफ द लैंड लोकल लॉ ऑफ द लैंड से माने गोटे इंटरनेशनल पुलिस भलिया काम कर परिए और आल्सो बिकॉज़ वी आर ए सेक्युलर एंड ए democratic and a tolerant country only. Okay, there is a I think one naam mone pone so the African country छोटिया देश रे तारा प्रेसिडेंट को कोन ब्लॉक कर देले ना कोन तारा तांकर अकाउंट ता और ये पूरा बैन कर देले तांको देश रो आई डोंट रिमेंबर द नेम ओके सेटा सर्च कर देबे यार गूगल रे सो गोटे अफ्रीकन कंट्री ये फेसबुक की ट्विटर जे हां व्हिच कंट्री
बुर्किना फासो है
बुर्किना फासो देखिए मोर मन पड़ने सेटा बट माने छोटो देशटा से मानकर कोन हला ताको प्रेसिडेंट करे माने बंद कर देले ताको अकाउंट आई थिंक हियर आल्सो इन इंडिया दे हैव डन सच मिस्टेक्स ओके बट अगेन आई डोंट रिमेंबर आई थिंक वाइस प्रेसिडेंट करो ओके वेंकैया नायडू करो सेमती किछ छोड़ हेतिला एंड इट वाज रिस्टोर्ड नो डाउट बट से माने सेमती किछ करथिले okay which was taken up very seriously. The SSMI shall appoint a nodal contact person for 24/7 coordination with law enforcement agencies and officers because many crimes and many terrorist activities are now being committed through these okay SSMIs Facebook ho Twitter ho alga bhi okay platforms ho right
It's a lot of fake IDs.
a lot of fake IDs से तो fake news there's a completely different ecosystem altogether ठीक है कि गोटे जिंसो especially for political or ideological or you know any other goals personal goals भी हो तो मिछो जिंसोटा को आपण सत्य देखिया पे चेष्टा करछन ओके आइडेंटिफाइंग द फर्स्ट ओरिजिनेटर ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन एटा बहुत इंपोर्टेंट केना ए छोटो छोटो जिंसो जेतले सोशल मीडिया नथिला टू इंजीनियर राइट कि गोटे किछि गोटे प्रॉब्लम करे पे आपण को लोकल लेवल रे बहुत अरेंजमेंट करिया पड़ियो बहुत पैसा खर्च करिया पड़े एबे सेगुडा किछ दरकार पड़नी एगुडा आपनकर ऑनलाइन भी आपण ओके डिसअफेक्शन स्प्रेड करि परिबे व्हिच मे लीड टू ए राइट लाइक सिचुएशन बहुत थोर इंडिया रे हिच सेटा ओके इवन ओडिसा रे भी हिच हमर इन द फेक पोस्ट को नै कि ओके रिलीजियस पोस्ट को किटा रिलीजन को गाड़ी देला कोन कला तो तापरे पुनी ओके राइट लाइक सिचुएशन हे जेछ सो आइडेंटिफाइंग द फर्स्ट ओरिजिनेटर ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन से प्रथमे किए पोस्ट बनेला कि शेयर कला सेटा बहुत इंपोर्टेंट so SSMI which primarily provides messaging services for example WhatsApp must enable the identification of the first originator of information within India on its platform तो जेतले law enforcement agencies दा पचारियो पुलिस एरिया पचारि से इमीडिएटली सेटा कोडु प्रथमे एटा स्टार्ट कोडु हला सेटा से कहि पाया दरकार ensuring online safety and dignity of users intermediary shall remove or disable access within 24 hours of receipt of complaints of content that export the private areas of individuals, show such individuals in full or partial nudity or in sexual act, or is in nature of impersonation including morphed images etc. एबे गोटे जिंस अपन देखिए फेसबुक पे बहुत आछी कि आपनकर आईडी ओके आपन फोटो लगी आ गोटे के बने दे गोटे फेक आईडी से पुनी आपन फ्रेंड लिस्ट रु ओके फ्रेंड्स मन को ऐड करी तांको पैसा मागुची मोर असुविधा होला मते पैसा पठाओ ओके तो जी आपन को चिन्हि दियो से अबे कोन प्रॉब्लम होला से विदाउट वेरीफाई करी कि पठै दे परिबो ओके सो दोस काइंड ऑफ लॉट्स ऑफ टाइप ऑफ फ्रॉड्स आर देयर એટલે સાયબર સિક્યુરિટી તો બેસી જો આપણଙ୍କର તો સાયબર સિક્યુરિટી રે બોથ टाइप्स ऑफ साइबर थ्रेट्स रे आपण एवडा आवरी डिटेल्स से पढिबे such a complaint can be filed either by the individual or by any person on his or her behalf okay तापरे oversight mechanism so कोन चाली छी ओके तो सेटा से जो पर्टिकुलर ओके एसएसएमआई जे अछि से देखिबार अछि कोनटा भूलभाल के करछि so Ministry of Information and Broadcasting shall formulate an oversight mechanism it shall publish a charter for self regulating bodies including code of practice it shall establish an interdepartmental committee for hearing grievances so what are the needs for amendment to IT rules 2021 first there was a need to ensure the interest and constitutional right of citizens are not being contravened by big tech platforms. ଆମର data sell କରିଦଉଛନ୍ତି ଠିକ ଅଛି। ଆପଣ ଦେଖିବେ କି ଆପଣଙ୍କର କିଛି ଗୋଟେ ଆପଣ ପୋଲ ରେ ପଚାରିଥିବ ସେ ଆପଣ ଯାହା ବି ଅପସନ ଦେଇଥିବେ ଠିକ ଅଛି। ଲେଟ୍ସ ସେ ଗୋଟେ କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚନ ପଚାରିଲା କି which is your favorite food, ଓକେ ଗୋଟେ ପୋଲ ରେ କି ଆପଣ ଆପଣ ପିଜ୍ଜା ଦେଇଦେଲେ ତ ଆପଣ ଦେଖିବେ 2-3 ଦିନ ପରେ ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ସେ ପିଜ୍ଜା ଆଡ୍ ଗୁଡା ଅଟୋମେଟିକାଲି ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଓକେ ଆକାଉଣ୍ଟ ରେ ଆସିବ ଠିକ ଅଛି। whereas you have not subscribed anything ଠିକ ଅଛି। ତାମାନେ ପର୍ସନାଲାଇଜ କରିକି ସେଟା ଦଉଛନ୍ତି ପ୍ଲସ୍ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଇନଫର୍ମେସନ ବି ସେମାନେ ବାହାରକୁ ଦେଇ ଦେଇପାରିବେ ଓକେ। ଅଲଦୋ ସେଗୁଡା ଏବେ ବହୁତ ଷ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ଟ ହେଇଗଲାଣି ୟୁରୋପିଆନ ୟୁନିୟନ କରିକି ତ ବହୁତ ଷ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ଟ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆରେ ବି ଆସ୍ତେ ଆସ୍ତେ ଆୱାରନେସ ବଢିଲାଣି। we are also having now kind of data protection acts okay ଯେମିତି not in the European standard but still
ସେ
at
ଏଇଟା
least
ମ୍ୟାକ୍ସିମମ୍ ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ ହଉଛି ଏ ଯୋଉ ଆମର ଆଣ୍ଡ୍ରଏଡ ଫୋନ୍ସରେ ଏମିତି ହଉଛି। ହେଲେ ଆଇଫୋନ ରେ ତାଙ୍କର ଯୋଉ ବାୟୋନିକ ଚିପ୍ ଅଛି ତା ଦେହରେ ଏମିତି ସାର୍ ସବୁ ଏମିତି ଆଡଭର୍ଟାଇଜ ଯୋଉ ଆପଣ କହିଲେ ସର୍ଚ୍ଚ କଲେ ପଳେଇ ଆସୁଛି ସେମିତି ଆସୁନି। ତ ଏଇଟା
ହଁ
ଆଣ୍ଡ୍ରଏଡ ଫୋନରେ ବେଶୀ ହଉଛି।
ଗୋଟେ ହେଲା ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଡିଭାଇସ ଲେଭେଲରେ ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ଏଇଟା କିନ୍ତୁ ଡିଭାଇସ ଲେଭେଲରେ ହଉ ଏଇଟା ପ୍ଲାଟଫର୍ମ ଲେଭେଲରେ ହଉଛି ଠିକ ଅଛି। ତ ଦ୍ୟାଟ ଇଜ ଦ ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ। ତ ସେମାନେ ସେ ଡାଟା ଗୁଡା ତାକୁ ସିକ୍ୟୁର୍ଡ ଆଉ ସେଫ ରଖିବାର ଅଛି ଓକେ। ସେଇଟା ହେଲା କଥା। ଏଇଟା ଫାର୍ଷ୍ଟ ଟାଇମ ନୁହଁ କି ଏମାନେ ହିଁ ଖାଲି କରୁଛନ୍ତି। ଇଫ ୟୁ ରିମେମ୍ବର କିଛି ବର୍ଷ ଆଗରୁ ମାଷ୍ଟର କାର୍ଡ ଆଉ ଭିଜାର ବି ତାଙ୍କର ମାନେ କ୍ରେଡିଟ କାର୍ଡ ଇନଫର୍ମେସନ ଆମର ଡାର୍କ ୱେବ ରେ ଆଭେଲେବଲ ଥିଲା ଓକେ। ଲକ୍ଷ ଲକ୍ଷ ଲୋକଙ୍କର ତାଙ୍କର ନାଁ ତାଙ୍କ ଡେଟ୍ ଅଫ ବର୍ଥ ଓକେ ତାଙ୍କର ସେ କ୍ରେଡିଟ କାର୍ଡ
ହଁ
ର
ସାର୍ ସାର୍ କଲ୍ ସବୁ ଆସିବ ସବୁ।
ଓକେ। ତ କିଏ ଆପଣ ୟୁଜ ବି କରିଦେଇ ପାରିବ କିଏ ଆପଣ କାର୍ଡ କୁ ପଇସା ବି କଟି ଯାଇପାରିବ ଓକେ। ସୋ ସେଇ ତାପରେ ପୁଣି ନୂଆ ନୂଆ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଏବେ ସିକ୍ୟୁରିଟି ଫିଚର ପ୍ରାୟ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆନ ବ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ସବୁ ଦେଇଛନ୍ତି କଣ ନା ଆପଣ ଆକ୍ସେସ ଡିସେବଲ କରିଦେଇ ପାରିବେ। ଆପଣ ଆପ ଥ୍ରୁରୁ ଫୋନରୁ ଆପଣ ଆକ୍ସେସ ଡିସେବଲ କରିଦେଇକି ନାଇଁ ମୋର ଇଣ୍ଟରନ୍ୟାସନାଲ ଟ୍ରାଞ୍ଜାକ୍ସନ ହବନି ମୋର ଅନଲାଇନ ଟ୍ରାଞ୍ଜାକ୍ସନ ହବନି ଓକେ ମୋର ଫିଜିକାଲ ଟ୍ରାଞ୍ଜାକ୍ସନ ହିଁ ଖାଲି ଦରକାର। So all those access mechanisms are there. Okay. Second, to further strengthen the grievance redressal framework in the rules. And third, compliance with IT rules should not impact early stage startup. এটা ବହୁତ important. ଆମର ଇଣ୍ଡିଆର ଯୋଉ ଛୋଟ ଛୋଟ ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟଅପ ଅଛି ତାଙ୍କ ଉପରେ ଆଉ ଆମେ ଯେମିତି ଫେସବୁକ ଉପରେ ଯେମିତି ପକଉଛୁ ପ୍ରେସର ଲେଟ୍ସ ସେ କୁ ହେଲା କି ଆଉ ଯୋଉ ମାନେ ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟଅପ୍ସ ଅଛନ୍ତି ଓକେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଯେମିତି ପ୍ରମୋଟ କରାହବ ଏଇଟା ଇମିଡିଏଟଲି ତାଙ୍କ ଉପରେ ନ ପକାଇକି ଆସ୍ତେ ଆସ୍ତେ ସେମାନେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ସ୍କେଲ କରିବେ ସେତେବେଳେ ଓକେ ୱି କ୍ୟାନ୍ ତାଙ୍କ ଉପରେ ସେଟା କରିପାରିବା। So amendment to the IT rules 2021, the amendments have put additional obligation on the SMIs to ensure better protection of user interest. Original IT rules 2021 obligated the SMIs to merely inform its users of the rules and obligations, the regulations, privacy policy and user agreement that govern its platform. This obligation on SMI has now been extended to ensuring that its users are in compliance with the relevant rules of the platform. Basically, ଜାଣିବେନି comply ବି କରିବେ okay compliance ଟା ବି ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ଦେଖିବାର ଅଛି। Further, SMS is required to make reasonable efforts to prevent prohibited content being hosted on its platform by users, which is बहुत ही difficult सेटा किए कौन post କରୁଛି real time monitoring is difficult ताको हाँ जानला पर report ହେଲା ପରେ से कौन गोटे action नेबे। To a large extent, this enhances the responsibility and concomitantly the power of SMIs to police and moderate content on their platform. तो concomitant माने कौन एक साथ ओके। तो गोटे तो हैला कि आपण ओके कौन टा important content और कौन टा acceptable content सेटा आपण डिसाइड करिए SMIs डिसाइड करिए। तो से हिसाब रे तांकर गोटे पोलिसिंग पावर भी आसी गला जेमति मु कहउतली बहुत गुडा एग्जांपल्स आपण देखिबे whereas कि गोटे पर्टिकुलर SMI ସେମାନେ କିଛି ଗୋଟେ ପଲିଟିକାଲ ଆଇଡିଓଲୋଜିର ସାଇଡ ନିଅନ୍ତି କିଏ ଲେଫ୍ଟ ଲିନିଂ ହେଲା କିଏ ରାଇଟ ଲିନିଂ ହେଲା କଣ ସେଇ ହିସାବରେ ତାଙ୍କର ଓକେ ସେମ୍ ଟାଇପର ଅଫେନ୍ସ ଅଛି ବଟ୍ ରାଇଟ ୱିଙ୍ଗ ବାଲା କଲେ ସେମାନେ ତାକୁ ତା ଏଗେନ୍ଷ୍ଟ ଆକ୍ସନ ନେବେ ଲେଫ୍ଟ ୱିଙ୍ଗ ବାଲା କଲେ ତା ଏଗେନ୍ଷ୍ଟ ଆକ୍ସନ ନେବେ। ସୋ ଦିସ୍ ଇଜ ନଟ୍ ଦ ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ ଇନ୍ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ ଏଟା ସବୁ ଦେଶରେ ବହୁତ ଜଣ ସେଟା କହିସାରିଲେଣି ଅଲରେଡି ଓକେ। ଟ୍ରମ୍ପ ୱାଜ ୱାନ୍ ଅଫ ଦ ମୋଷ୍ଟ ଭୋକାଲ କ୍ରିଟିକ୍ସ ଅଫ ଦିସ୍। SMIs are also now obligated to respect all rights according to citizens of India, including Article 14, 19 and 21. तो ताको इच्छा जा करथिले नै you have to accept the law of the land. आपण जो जो देश रे काम करछथि सेठिकार लोकल लॉस कोन ता हिसाब रे आपण काम करिया पड़िबो। Given the importance of SMIs in public discourse and implication of their action on the fundamental rights of citizens, the horizontal application of fundamental rights is appreciable. Okay. So ता माने कोन होची ना since they can sway the okay mass opinion especially politically sensitive topics ki ba election time re ठीक है. So this fundamental rights, okay, that they have to keep in mind that that is not violated. Maximum jete seta ye kari paribe. SMIs are now obligated to remove information or a communication link in relation to 6 prohibited categories of content as and when a complaint arises. Okay, तो छोटा prohibited categories ଅଛି दंतु sensitive information about the army गरी कहला, okay, pornography हैला, okay, say child abuse हैला, okay, all those things once the government tells them they have to take it down. They have to remove such information within 72 hours of the complaint being made. Given the virality with which content spreads, this is an important step to contain the spread of the content. The viral videos. Okay, so apna tako di viral kar dele within fixed time tako stop no karayala pore au kichi kari hoban. Okay, lastly, rules and regulation, privacy policy and user agreement of platform should be made available in all languages listed in the 8th schedule of the constitution. So this is another requirement. Era try samaste kari nanti, but then this is a requirement. Okay, so this is quite important. कौन पे हमें okay नुआ amendment सुड़ा कराई की notify है. Okay, जो SMIs अच्छी तांको ऊपर आउरी अधिका responsibility दिया होती, accountability दिया होती. Okay, CAO एमती आगुरु कोई परिवे नहीं जो तांकरा exemption दिला कि ये कौन लिखला platform पे सेटा हमें सबू moderate कर परिवे. Okay, that is not possible now. You will be liable. Platform will be liable. Okay, जहाँ भूलवालो. जरा अपन देखिए कि देख रहे हैं Facebook पे. If you write something जोड़ा कि वो भूल दिन से मन लिख चंदी ताले से वो कौन warning दे दो. तो independent fact checkers check कर चंदी अपना ताले लिखी चंदी. Okay, ये भूल की out of place, out of context जहाँ से डा लिखो चंदी. कुछ पहले. Next number 9, an internal तो एटा बोटे नरेगा changes. ठीक है तो. An internal study commissioned by Ministry of Rural Development has argued for decentralization of Narega, allowing for more flexibility at the ground level. Discuss the need for such a change. On the okay, so main focus on more flexibility at the ground level. So key recommendation first la work diversification. If they would limited type of work apna Narega under option. More type of work should be recognized. Next, broad categories of work may be listed out, and flexibility should be given at ground level to select the type of work as per the broad categories. Okay. So it stands for Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act of 2005. This is labor law and social security measure that aims to guarantee right to work. This is important. The act was first proposed in 1991 by P.V. Narasimha Rao. Weekly test जो होगा, सेतरे तो ये तो पढ़ियो obviously अपना करो descriptive questions, but you will get MCQs also. Okay, so सही सबरे ठीक है देखिए देवे पाँचड़ा. So what is so unique about it? So at least 100 days of employment, okay, to the willing unskilled worker. Very important. Okay, जो मने राजनीति में काम करिए भाई, आओ unskilled थे. But also in ensuring enforceable commitment on the implementing agency, that is the state government, and providing a bargaining power to the laborers. The failure of provision of employment within 15 days of receipt of job application from a prospective household will result in payment of unemployment allowance to the job seeker. Any Indian citizen above 18 years who resides in rural India can apply for Narega scheme. The applicant should have volunteered to do unskilled work. Employment is to be provided within 5 kilometers of applicant's residence, and minimum wages are to be paid. Minimum wages. Okay. Constitution कौन कुछ? Constitution minimum wage कदा कौन है? Constitution कौन कुछ? Living wage कदा कुछ? ठीक है? Polity रे अपना परिचय सेटा, right? It talks about a living wage. Okay. So employment under Narega is a legal entitlement. Okay. Changes कौन दरकार? Grassroots level रे आउ power दरकार, not centralized. Okay. So empowering the Gram Sabhas, the fund management has been centralized instead of paying the Gram Sabhas. The Gram Sabhas could better decide the work they want to undertake. तांको requirement कौन? ओके आपण भुवनेश्वर की दिल्ली रे बसी की आपण कहउछथि एई जगह एई जिनिसटा हो सेठी गिव देम द पावर ताकर सेठी कोन रिक्वायरमेंट सेट माने बेटर जानचंदी तांकू प्रायोरिटी रे ट्यूबवेल दरकार कम्युनिटी पॉन्ड दरकार कि गोटे सेठी कोन तांकर कम्युनिटी सेंटर दरकार स्कूल दरकार दैट लेट देम डिसाइड ओके द sabhas can take into account the local condition and the community's requirement instead of chasing a okay target set for them. So let's say सेठी तांकर रास्ता भलो नाही ओके सो नारेगा अंडर से माने तांकर रास्ता करिका बनै परबी आउ जोडा फर्स्ट पॉइंट से हमें देखिथिलु द categories of work have to be increased आउ री ब्रॉड आपण ताकू बनेबे prevent delays in fund disbursal this is another problem okay कि नरेगा काम करिया पई ओके ताकर जो पैसा तांको मिलिबो ता अकाउंट को आसीबो ओके सेतरे डिले हबा कथा नो द इंटरनल स्टडी आल्सो फ्लैग द frequent delay in fund disbursal and to deal with it suggested a revolving fund that can be utilized whenever there is delay in the central fund so revolving fund रखथिबे जे central fund आसिला जेतबेले ओके से revolving fund रो आगर पैसा रखाइथिबो सेटा दिया आइजिबो central fund रो आसिले सेटु पुनी फिल अप हबा ओके so the survey quoted various instances to underline this chronic problem that is delayed okay fund disbursal लोको काम कर सरजी नरेगा अंडर 100 days धरंतु पेमेंट तको ओके डेली मिलछ prevent delays in wages so in Himachal and Gujarat the delay in wages was by 3 or 4 months and the material component okay by 6 months the study also showed that Narega wages were far below the market rate in many states defeating the purpose of acting as a safety net तो एटा भी आउट इशू वो जगह देखा हला कि मार्केट रेट जे अछि ताठू मच लोअर ओके काहे कि मच लोअर हला काहे कि ना आपण प्रथम रु कहि दिचंती कि आपण मिनिमम वेज सेटा दिया हबो ठीक अछि मिनिमम वेजेस आर टू बी पेड सो मार्केट रेट रु मिनिमम वेज ओके जनरली बहुत ही कम रहबो फॉर एग्जांपल आपण एटी भुवनेश्वर रे देखंतु गोटे लेबर से कि कटक रे कि ब्रह्मपुर रे कि संबलपुर रे गोटे लेबर केते चार्ज करूची ओके बट मिनिमम वेज ता ताठू बहुत कम अछि so these are the things for why changes are needed more decentralization and power has to be devolved to the ground okay institutes or the ground units okay so semane better koi pare tankara kon require next last question write a short note on unresolved status of Indian origin Tamils who repatriated from Sri Lanka तो एथरे दी तीन जिनस एटा आपण आईआर रे भी पढिबे दिस इज नॉट अ न्यू प्रॉब्लम हमरो इंडिपेंडेंस परटू तांको इंडिपेंडेंस परटू 1948 रो ए प्रॉब्लम चली आछ आउ ताकू हमें सॉल्व करा पे चेष्टा कलु ओके देन वी had the you know the agreement with Bandare Naike and we had the agreement with other presidents of Sri Lanka exchange of population ठीक अछि आमे एतिकी इंडियन सिटीजनशिप दबु बाकी आपण सेठी श्रीलंकन सिटीजनशिप देबे आरो मेन जिंसटा कोन जेतले ब्रिटिश ओके तांकर श्रीलंका रे तांकर कॉलोनाइजेशन कले तो तांको प्लांटेशन पई वर्कर्स दरकार थिले ओके एंड लॉट ऑफ फोर्स और लॉट ऑफ वर्क फोर्स वाज अवेलेबल ओके इन तमिलनाडु तो तांको नै कि से माने नॉर्दर्न एरियाज रे नॉर्दर्न श्रीलंका रे बेसिकली सेटल करेले काहे कि ना लैंग्वेज वाज तमिल ओके तो सेटा भी तांको सुविधा हैला ओके आउ डिस्टेंस भी खूब कम ओके माने चाहिले जने सकाळू जाई कि सेठी काम करी कि नॉर्दर्न श्रीलंका रे पुनी रात्रे फेरी परियो ओके माने इन दैट सेंस सो ये जो तमिल माने सेठी रहिले इंडियन तमिल्स ओके सो से सेठी को अपन जदी देखिबे सेठी भी तीन प्रकार तमिल्स अछंती तांकर श्रीलंकन तमिल्स अछंती who are basically सेठिकार से लोक okay then there are Indian Tamils that we जाइछंती ठीक अछि so and other you know Tamils are also there so overall तांको देशर प्रॉब्लम ता थिला कि if you see the evolution of their you know the political system and all so the Tamil language and Tamil people have been okay से माने जेति कि तांकर प्रॉपर रेस्पेक्ट और प्रॉपर तांको पावर रे जेति कि मिलिबा कथा ओके शेयर सेटा मिलिनी सो तबरे एलटीटी वाज मच लेटर ता गुरु बहुत गुडे militant organization चेष्टा करिसेंती LTT बहुत सक्सेस हे गला सेटा ओके whatever be the case एठी क्वेश्चन हला so unresolved status of Indian origin Tamils ओके तो ये जो बाकी रही गले ऑल्दो इंदिरा बंदारे नायक एग्रीमेंट सब बहुत बड़े हेतिला ओके एक्सचेंज ऑफ सिटीजनशिप हेतिला तथापि पूरा सॉल्व हे परला so the Supreme Court of India has now posted the 232 petitions challenging Citizenship Amendment Act to be heard on December 6, 2022. However, there is another issue linked with the subject, that is the unresolved status of Indian origin Tamils who repatriated from Sri Lanka. Okay, so present status kona. So for over 4 decades, Indian origin Tamils have been classified as stateless persons. Mane jangar citizenship nahi. Based on technicalities, nation's High Commission for Refugees, okay, UN, comprehensive solution strategy for Sri Lankan refugees. Accordingly, there are around 30,000, 29,500 Indian origin Tamils currently living in India. So the historical background, as indentured plantation workers, which we have just discussed, denied citizenship led to stateless population, right? So numbering 10 lakhs by 1960. Bilateral pacts granted citizenship to Ramukoili, Sri Mavo Shastri Pact, Sri Mavo Gandhi Pact, and so 6 lakh people along with their natural increase would be granted Indian citizenship upon their repatriation. So civil war forcing to seek asylum in India, so tankar jo civil war bahut din hala chaltila, ebe to nahi ete. So many people they came to Tamil Nadu and other places. This resulted in Union Home Ministry asking, to stop grant of citizenship to those who arrived in India after July 1983. Focus on refugee welfare and rehabilitation. The focus of Indian and Tamil Nadu government shifted to refugee welfare and rehabilitation. The legal destiny of Indian origin Tamils has been largely intertwined with that of Sri Lankan refugees, and both cohorts have been relegated to refugee status. These are good problem also. Sri Lankans in India, and there are some people who want to stay in Sri Lanka, but say citizenship. They are classified as illegal immigrants as per CAA 2003. So Indian origin Tamils who arrived after 1983 came through unauthorized channels or without proper documentation and came to be classified as illegal immigrants as per CAA 2003. This classification has resulted in their statelessness and blocking of potential legal pathways to citizenship. So our solution कौन सेप्टेम्बर भी इंदिरा गांधी को बेले तो बहुत बड़ा planning है इतला but सेटा ही पारला नहीं. While constitutional courts have not had an occasion to deal with question of statelessness, there have been 2 recent judgments. Madurai bench of Madras High Court, where Justice G.R. Swaminathan he gave taking these issues head on. कौन से कहले एटा देखिए 2019, that is P. Ulagnathan versus Government of India. The status of citizenship of Indian origin Tamils and Kottapattu and Mandapam camps came up for consideration. The court recognized the distinction between Indian origin Tamils and Sri Lankan Tamils and held that a continuous period of statelessness of Indian origin Tamils offends their fundamental right under Article 21 of the Constitution of India. The court further held that Union government has implied powers to grant relaxation in conferring citizenship and prescribed that a humanitarian approach shown of rigors of law should be adopted. Citizenship. Indian origin Tamils. So differentiation color. Indian origin Tamils and Sri Lankan Tamils. Next, Abhirami S versus Union of India 2022. Statelessness is something to be avoided. The court further held that principles of CA 2019, which relaxes the condition for citizenship of Hindus from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Bangladesh, should also apply to Sri Lankan Tamil refugees. As such, these judgments have provided categorical judicial guidance to the Union of India on how to utilize an expanded and liberal interpretation of CA 2019 to overcome statelessness. How case law? So Supreme Court Okay, that is a committee of CR of CAP and others versus state of Arunachal Pradesh in 2015. Sethere kon kahila Supreme Court? An undertaking made by Government of India with respect to grant of citizenship inheres a right in the stateless or refugee population. As such, India has made repeated undertakings through the 1964-1974 pacts, which have created a legitimate expectation among the Indian origin Tamils and would entitle them to be granted citizenship. Obligatory international customary laws. The situation of statelessness of Indian origin Tamils is de jure, that is created from failure in implementing the 1964 and 74 pacts. De jure statelessness is recognized in international customary law. Hence, India has an obligation to remedy the situation. बाकी देश रे सब जगह रे एटा बहुत जगह रे stateless people रुहती. Okay, stateless people are governed by international human rights laws. Okay, तांको तो कौन सी country तांको तांको passport नहीं. So general laws, okay, international laws से समझने govern होती. So how भी अलग देशों का भी इस problems अच्छी. For example, United States. Remedying statelessness is not a novel process in law. While dealing with similar situation in 1994, the United States enacted Immigration and Nationality Technical Correction Act to retroactively grant citizenship to all children born to an alien father and citizen mother. Okay, so semanako retroactively citizenship diya hochi. Okay, mane backdated. Next, Brazil भी सेमती करछि through the constitutional amendment number 54 of 2007 retroactively. Brazil granted citizenship to children under jus sanguinis, okay, which was earlier stripped by an earlier amendment, that is Constitutional Amendment 3 of 1994. Jus sanguinis का citizenship generally dita प्रकार रहता है. गोटे हैला कि by birth, okay, if you are related, okay, any kind of relation to the soil by birth, I mean just solely just माने कौन? That is means right. Okay, so just solely means you are related, you are born there or something. Then just sanguinis ka, then you are, okay, through blood, you are attached to the soil through blood. Now, आपनका parents से ठीक जन्म होई चली. Okay, आपने जन्म ना इतने parents है, but आपना parents जन्म होई चली, right? So that is just sanguinis. Okay, right? That means relation. आपना अगर किसी relation through रो आपना का citizenship ला आपना दिया होची. Okay, that is the concept. Or just solita, you are born there. So on basis of your birth in that country, you become citizen of that country. Okay. So India already we have tried our best. 1964 and 1974, but how can we? See, refugees na. Okay, pact India honors it. For example, Bangladesh war पर तांकर संगे जो पैक्ट लगी इलीगल बांग्लादेशीज देते इंडिया रे अछंती तांकर दे वेयर टू बी ओके प्रॉपर्ली रिहैबिलिटेटेड. तो सेथरे गोटे प्रोजेक्ट हैला दंडकारण्य प्रोजेक्ट. अल्टीमेटली एते सक्सेसफुल हैलानी. से दंडकारण्य प्रोजेक्ट रु ओके ओडिसा भागरे पडला कोन हमें गोटे डिस्ट्रिक्ट करिवु जोठी की इलीगल बांग्लादेशीज मानु को रखिवु. सो जो हमर मलकानगिरी डिस्ट्रिक्ट अछि ओके से दंडकारण्य प्रोजेक्ट रु हेची आउ सेठी सेही जो इलीगल इमिग्रेंट्स मानको सेटल कराई कि ताको इंडियन सिटीजनशिप दियाला. बुझि पाले. सो नाउ थिंग्स हैव चेंज्ड. एडा ओके हमारा बहुत वर्ष हो गलानी. राइट. तमाने कोन व्हाई आई गिव द एग्जांपल. इंडिया अंडरस्टैंड्स एंड टेक्स ओके केयर ऑफ इट्स रिस्पांसिबिलिटीज. तो आउ हमें बे कोन कर परबा. Any corrective legislative action by Government of India to eliminate statelessness should necessarily include retrospective citizenship for Indian origin Tamils. Okay, Indian citizenship ताको मिलिया कथा. तो conclusion में अपन लिखी परिवे India has provided one of the largest refuge to the people in the world, including Tibetan, Sri Lanka, Pakistani and Bangladeshi. Despite not being a signatory to UN Refugee Convention, any decision of granting citizenship has been based on national interest rather than emotional connect. Okay. Yes. For example, about Tibet, Tibetan refugees. ताको संग किसी problem नहीं. ओडिशा रे भी हमारा I think गंजाम रे की we have a lot of at least 2-3 places where these people are okay, they are registered and they are staying. Government भी तांको support करूची. बाकी भी अपन जुआरे सब जिबे ସେମାନେ केबे भी problem करनांती Tibetans माने. But others there are some like बहुत जन कहउछंती काई अपन तले रोहिंग्या मानकु काई के रखुनांती आकु काई रखुनांती ସେମାନେ किछिटा एमती एक्टिविटीज आगुरु धरा पड़चंती जोडा कि देश विरुद्ध okay against the nation. Tibetans okay से पूरा law हिसाब रे रहिचंती right, and no country will have any problems okay with such refugees. Refugee और illegal immigrant ଭିତରେ main difference ହେଲା refugee जे से कहि के आउछ से ओके कि मते refuge नबार अछि मो मु जोडी रहउछि सेठी कि छोटे प्रॉब्लम अछि जे ताको refuge दिया आउछ से refuge. Illegal immigrant किए जे से किछि न कहि चुपचाप को तार तळे खसी कि पळे आछि कोन ना तार डॉक्यूमेंट अछि ओके ना सेटा किसी से रिवील करछि कि से ताको डिक्लेयर करनी कि मु आसुछि ओके तो से हला इलीगल ओके इमिग्रेंट. In many other countries you know the rules are very strict. For example China कथा देखो चाइना को के भी पछिया पे चेष्टा करिवेन तांगर बहुत स्ट्रिक्ट लॉस. Otherwise you can think रोहिंग्या बुलीवाली की आसुचंती इंडिया कोन पे सेमन तो सेठी जाई पारे चाइना because they know that if they go there they will put them in kind of concentration camps ताको से re-education camps बोली कहउछ. Okay, so better to go to India at least ready. Okay, your life is at least safe and government खर्च रे खाया भी मिल जिवो. और जदी ओडे आपन को sympathetic government थिबो ताहले आधार कार्ड भी करे कि आपन को सिटीजन भी बने दो देश वोट भी आपन दे पारे. You will become a major vote bank. Okay, so a vote bank चक्कर रे lot of demographic change सब आडे हेलानी ठीक अछि. It is not that आमे आखि बंद कर जेंती थाए ना कि से मूसा आखि बंद कर देले से भाबे बिलेटा पळेला सेमती नाही. ओडिसा रे भी जिंसडा होउची. Okay, so slowly we will come to know what is the magnitude of this problem. Other states have realized, for example Assam, तांको chief minister he is taking proper steps on कराजिबो. So that is the thing. The जो question टा हमर जा थिला okay, so आउरी डिटेल रे आपण आईआर रे पढिबे इंडिया श्रीलंका रिलेशनशिप. बट एनीवे एबे कोन करि हबो कि से जो 64 और 74 एग्रीमेंट्स को प्रॉपर्ली केमती यूज ताको प्रॉपर्ली आपण implement करिवे and the Indian origin Tamils should get citizenship. Okay, तांकर statelessness टा the government of India can okay see to that they become citizens. Right. So these are the 10 questions for today. Any doubts in this? Okay. So after 1 hour you will get the model answers in your that link. So go to link रे सब आसियो घंटे पर सेटा चेक कर दे. Okay. So next time देखिबा kali polity ro achi okay, polity and current affairs. So I'll just tell you the time and also you be ready for the test. Okay, test so tomorrow we'll finish both 3 and 4 and then we will go for the test. Okay, on Sunday morning we apna test de de paribe and Sunday evening we will have a discussion of that test. The live test hoba katha, so jeti time deichi seti time bhitar apna complete karibe. Okay, any other doubts? Else we will start.
सर टेस्ट का ये जो आपण जो क्वेश्चन देखे सर एठी आसीबो तो सर
एई कंटेंट रो आसीबो एंड एई जो क्वेश्चन उडा हमें दउछु फर्स्ट मासे दिमास पे एगुडा बहुत डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन उडा ठीक अछि. तो मे बी हमें कंटेंट सेम रखिबा बट क्वेश्चन टा टिके बुलेबा छोटी की आपनकर किछि ओपिनियन दबा पे पड़ी पारे की. ओके
हां सर.
Okay, any other doubts? Fine, so we'll stop here then. We'll meet again tomorrow.
Sir, I have written a doubt in question.
Which question?
Sir, decentralization of MC-Narega. What will be its effect on ground, like on corruption?
So see, what is happening now, you know about this Jam Trinity. So they are being paid okay, through their accounts where it is possible. Where it is not possible, still the mechanism is there, okay, to ensure that funds are not misused. Okay, so with more control, okay, those things can be achieved. But just because of the fact that we, there is some chance of, okay, corruption, we cannot stop the devolution of power to the grassroots levels. Okay, so it will become more efficient, it will become more responsive. Local local need kona सेटा ता local body ही कहि परिबो, that is the panchayat channel. Okay, semane better कहबे सेटा. So rather than what centralized decision ना नहीं कि सेटा let we will leave it to them. ताको local requirement local priority हिसाब रे they will decide कोटा तामु प्रथमे दरकार कुछ पर.
Yes, sir. Mine was a more of a social question, like whether devolving, decentralizing power will give MG Narega will give
Power will be
like
decent. I mean,
reduce corruption or aid corruption.
no,
Because
it will.
reducing it can
Checks
also
and
help
balance,
like
checks and balances have to be there. The main thing is that see, whatever payment is being done, okay, it is generally being done to the beneficiary. Okay, mostly they would be having bank accounts, right? So it goes there. If you are giving it to the contractor or if you are giving it to the the office there, and you ask them to distribute, okay, there may be some issue. But in many places, JAM is being used. Okay, the JAM Trinity, Jandhan account number, okay, Aadhaar card number, and your mobile number. So connecting these three, the beneficiaries, they get their payment directly to their account. So chances of corruption is less. Okay.
yes, sir.
And there are a lot of other independent processes also. Like, see, a lot of corruption has been unearthed in this Narega scheme, where instead of manual work, machine are doing the work. Okay. So, you, for example, community pond. Okay, like 100 laborers for 60 days, they dug up a community pond. Actually, they have used 2, 3 excavators, JCBs, and all, and they have done it. But there are 100 people, okay, per person, minimum wage per day, this much, okay, 100 people into 100 days. Okay, so they have built it like that. There's a billing, okay, and once, you know, these things, how we come to know is there is some kind of audit mechanism which ensures that whatever, okay, the bills are being submitted or being said that this much is the expenditure, that can be proved. Okay, so corruption, of course, will be a major, okay, uh, concern, but then you cannot stop, okay, the devolution of power, because once you give it to the grassroots level, they know that what is their requirement, they will act accordingly. Okay. So in your personal notes, you
Yes,
take
sir.
down the what do you call the headings and the important points, okay, which have been highlighted in or in bold. Okay, so use that. That will be understood. So again, tomorrow maybe we will. I'll tell you what will be the, because next 2 set of questions have also been given. You get ready with that. Those 2 we will finish anyway tomorrow, so that day after tomorrow you will have your, okay, uh, your exam. So tomorrow I'll give you the structure of the exam as well. Both will have MCQs and will be having your written exam. Okay, so morning on Sunday morning or afternoon, whenever you will give the test, and the evening we have the discussion. Okay, fine. So we'll stop here then.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.